Welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I know you recognize Maureen Callahan, and how much have we been dying to talk to Maureen about the Vanity Fair article that probably sent Meghan Markle to Pottery Barn for all new plates and bowls and everything that might have smashed in Montecito after she read those pages. Maureen, what was your first reaction when you saw the Vanity Fair piece that Meghan Markle probably wishes doesn't exist or didn't exist?
It's, Kinsey, first of all, I'm so happy and gratified to be talking to you about this. I've been waiting on pins and needles to talk to you about this. It's such a gratifying bookend to Meghan's first Vanity Fair cover, which was laudatory and really to like the palace was infuriated by it, reportedly. But what she did, it was like a really masterful play. She went around the palace and just did the cover because it cemented her as
Mm.
Harry's intended future wife.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and it was laudatory and it made her look and sound great. And this version, this cover story, has a lot of teeth, which is something that most publications no longer have. But the Vanity Fair felt that they could take a wrecking ball to these two and just obliterate them. Tells you everything that we need to know about like where they stand in the industry, whether it's publishing, podcasting, streaming. It follows the Hollywood Reporter story this summer that basically said Hollywood's done with them.
Right.
So they're done, I think.
Vanity Fair, the same magazine that helped launch Meghan into the global spotlight, just eviscerated her. Now, why is this important? Because this isn't some tabloid hit piece. This is one of the most elite left-leaning media outlets in the country. For years, the mainstream press has protected Meghan, refusing to hold her accountable for her lies, manipulation, and hypocrisy. But now, even they are finally waking up to what we've all known for years. Meghan Markle's entire brand is built on deception. And folks, this is part of a much bigger trend. Hollywood has moved on from Meghan and Harry. Their Netflix projects have flopped. Their Spotify deal was a disaster. They're not A-list celebrities. They're professional complainers who have burned every bridge they've ever built. Maureen Callahan breaks it down perfectly. Meghan has deliberately crafted her public image to mirror Diana's. And it's creepy. The Vanity Fair cover she did in 2017? Styled almost exactly like Diana's iconic 1997 shoot. The Netflix documentary? Meghan narrates her struggles like she's Diana reborn. Even in their home, Meghan reportedly displays framed photos of Diana, reinforcing this bizarre fantasy.
Mm. Did it occur to you that, did you remember, I guess, because Meghan Markle, I didn't care about Meghan Markle in 2017 when she appeared on the cover of Vanity Fair because she was the new kid on the block. I just did not have an opinion of her back then. But of course, we're making these comparisons today because of this intense article, this new article. Did it occur to you that she likely pursued Vanity Fair for her cover because of those beautiful Princess Diana pictures in that cover from 1997, where she's in black and white and she'd been seen as this victim, and all of a sudden Vanity Fair puts her on the cover and you realize, oh my gosh, this woman could be a supermodel if she wants to because of the way that they framed her. I mean, just these iconic shots that now Prince Harry has framed in his home. I wondered if there was any intention in 2017 of Meghan pursuing something like Vanity Fair instead of Harper's Bazaar or Vogue because of the Diana connection.
That's a really interesting theory. Those photos that you speak of, I don't know if you recall, but I believe it was episode 1 of the Harry and Meghan Netflix docu-series slash reality show, where she's got their baby Archie, I believe, and she's showing him a picture of a portrait of Diana. And she's like, that's your grandmother. And it's not a private family photo. It like they framed the photo from the shoot. I think it was the Mario Testino shoot,
I think so.
right? That wound up in Vanity Fair. And
Yes.
it gives you such a sense of the way that she engages with her in-laws and her deceased mother-in-law. as like an icon who was really globally famous, not like a person, a mother who never got to meet her grandchildren. I found that so telling.
Yeah, I think you're right. Very much so. It all feels very intentional to me in a creepy, well, let me just wear the skin off your body kind of way. What were there any takeaways? Did anything make you gasp? Because there are some people that criticize the piece and say, what, we've heard it all before. There are some things that I think we assumed, like Prince Harry would love to just sit back and let Meghan Markle do all the work and him be the charity guy or the stay-at-home dad. But I did feel like the piece had packed a punch, and there were some big takeaways. The divorce book, I'd say, being my biggest takeaway. Oh, and Beyonce not wanting to do the podcast. Did you have any big takeaways?
Yes, first of all, I agree with you. The divorce book, the Beyonce snub. I think the fact that this piece exists in a major American publication that is so vastly critical and has details and receipts of a couple that is famously litigious. Like they will sue you for looking at them sideways.
And folks, it doesn't stop there. Meghan has weaponized Diana's legacy, using it to attack the royal family while positioning herself as some modern-day victim princess. But here's the truth. Diana earned her legacy through genuine compassion, humanitarian work, and personal struggles that were real, not manufactured for PR. Meghan, on the other hand, has spent years profiting off victimhood while treating people around her like trash. For the longest time, the Sussexes were able to leverage their royal connections to sign massive deals. Netflix, Spotify, book publishers, you name it. But guess what? The industry has finally realized that they're not worth the money. Their Netflix docuseries? More of the same whining and complaining. No real substance. The Spotify deal? A $20 million failure that even their own partners said was doomed from the start.
What also really struck me were another couple of things. They're minor in comparison to Meghan allegedly shopping around a post-divorce book. What does that look like? What does that paycheck look like? My amount of conversation. One is that one of the employees of Meghan's on her failed podcast Archetypes left after 3 episodes. 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Kinsey, if you had employees who left you after like 3 episodes, you wouldn't be where you are. And
Right.
you know what I mean? The other one was that they have like no ideas. They
Yeah.
have like content creation, Harry and Meghan, requires actual content, not just your actual benighted presence in a room. And the only idea that I read in that piece that Harry brought to whoever his backers were, Spotify, was that he wanted to interview men he clearly viewed as sociopaths, be that Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump, and talk to them about how they developed their sociopathy, but how it was that Harry, despite all of his childhood challenges, never himself became a sociopath. I would kill to see the faces of the executives in the room at
Yeah.
that meeting.
When they mention that Spotify pitched to him, well, why don't you review Coco's and talk to your friends over Coco reviews? I was like, that honestly, that's more, I can see that more than Prince Harry sitting down with Donald Trump. Okay, like
I mean, yeah, but that also that smacks to me also of the desperation these executives had with coming up with something that might be palatable to a prince of the blood who you know is automatically going to be like, why am I here? Why am I in this room? My wife dragged me in here by my dog leash. It sounds like like a less toothy version of Hot Ones, right?
Oh
Where you
yeah.
get that's what it sounds like. But what is he going to talk to his friends about? Like according to one of the people who worked with them, this person said, outside of polo, I have no idea what Harry's interests are. Like the guy does not seem to have a developed inner life at all, which means he doesn't have actual interests. He's not that intellectually curious. He is a very circumscribed worldview. Of course he does. He's one of the most sheltered, protected people on the planet. I like whoever cut these checks, I can't imagine what they were thinking they were going to get.
Meghan's new cooking show? Netflix is considering scrapping it before it even airs. And here's where it gets even more brutal. Vanity Fair's takedown isn't just about Meghan. It's a signal to the entire industry that it's okay to cut ties with the Sussexes. When media giants like Vanity Fair and The Hollywood Reporter turn on you, it means you're finished. Folks, this is one of the most important lessons from this entire saga. Meghan and Harry thought they could control the press, but it completely backfired. They spent years trying to silence criticism, threatening lawsuits against newspapers, demanding rewrites of negative stories, even attempting legal action against Vanity Fair after their 2017 article.
Well, I think what they thought they were going to get was the Oprah Winfrey interview. And that they were devastated when they watched the Oprah Winfrey interview happen, because they thought, oh my God, that's why we signed on the dotted line, because we thought we were going to get those revelations that Harry and Meghan later turned around and denied that they even hinted at or said. But they wanted the drama. They wanted Harry and Meghan to sit on there and fume. And they got that a bit with Meghan with archetypes, which is just, archetypes to me was a horrible concept to begin with. And then to find out it was someone else's idea, it's like, oh my gosh. And she just sat on the mic and complained about Austin Powers, which how that movie's 20 years old probably now. Like, what, there are bigger things going on, Meghan Markle. There are other things you can complain about than having to sit through Austin Powers. But you're right, it's sad that they were given all of these opportunities, and it's not like they were they had like a timeline when it came to coming up with concepts. We all sat at home locked in our houses for almost years during the pandemic. That was plenty of time for them to come up with multiple ideas for how they could utilize Spotify or Netflix, those platforms. And additionally, I really thought they'd be savvy enough to see Netflix and Spotify as a way for them to get past the media. You know, if they would have produced a regular podcast that subtly gave updates on their lives, then the tabloid gossip isn't as powerful as it is with them keeping their mouths shut all the time. You know what I mean? If Meghan was on a podcast every week and said, it's Archie's first soccer game this week or whatever, then I think that the tabloids don't have the power that they do in telling Harry and Meghan's story for them. Am I giving them too much credit? Probably.
I think maybe you might, I say this to many people, you're not the first. I think you might be a more generous person than I am when it comes to your take on these two. You have to think about the money they were given. And again, I don't believe they were given a check for $100 million. That was all conditional on what they produced. I'm sure it came in installments. But you have to think with that amount of money, the level, the high profile nature of these announcements and their celebrity, there were people in the room they were throwing the building behind making any number of these projects a success. The problem is you can only do so much with people who read as though they are pieces of immovable furniture. Despite their celebrity, they really don't have much charisma. They have nothing original or unique to say. It is no accident that anything that they have to offer it has nothing to do with the royals now, because that informational supply has been choked off. The faucet has gone dry.
But here's the problem. They forgot the golden rule of media. You can't control the press forever. The more they tried to suppress the truth, the more obvious it became that they had something to hide. Now, even the mainstream media is willing to call them out. So, Patriots, what do you think? Is this the final nail in the Sussex coffin? Will Meghan's Hollywood career survive this latest hit? And what do you make of Vanity Fair finally turning on her? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.